What do we know about rosemary? The rosemary by our cenotaph, our rosemary, was planted in the earth in 1991, 26 years ago, and now I've got a piece of it right here. But where exactly did it come from? It could be said, knowing what you will in a few minutes, that Australians take rosemary for granted. How did this bush, home in dry soil, swaying in the ocean breeze on Mediterranean sea cliffs, become such an important symbol for Australians remembering our Anzacs? And what's so special about rosemary? The wild shrub's journey from the shores of Gallipoli Peninsula to growing by our cenotaphs and adorning our breast pockets was a long one, and its meaning and use as a herb symbolising memory, remembrance, and sometimes mourning is found all across history. The earliest recorded symbolic use of rosemary takes place in Egypt, where it was customary to lay fresh sprigs across a coffin or at a tombstone. And in ancient Greece, wreaths of rosemary were worn upon the brow by scholars to improve their memory. In modern medicine, research is connecting rosemary with Alzheimer's prevention. The Virgin Mary was said to have spread her blue cloak over a blossoming rosemary shrub while resting, turning the white flowers blue, coining the name Rose of Mary. But the name is more likely to derive from the Latin phrase ros marinus, meaning dew of the sea, likely referencing the fact rosemary thrives in harsh conditions, sandy coastal soils, flourishing wild by the sea. And more recently, more relevantly, it is referenced twice in the works of Shakespeare. First in Romeo and Juliet, where Juliet is bestowed with rosemary, following her untimely death. Secondly in Hamlet, where Ophelia hands Hamlet himself a sprig of rosemary, pleading him not to repeat his mistakes. There's rosemary, that's for remembrance. Pray you love, remember. This coinciding history, hundreds and even thousands of years between, remains relevant. According to most historical accounts, association with our Anzacs began in 1915 when a digger from Adelaide, badly wounded in battle, made it back alive to Keswick. There he was admitted to hospital with only his belongings, but among them was a small rosemary bush tucked away, which he had himself uprooted from the slopes of the Anzac Cove. Per his request, the bush was planted on hospital grounds. It flourished there for decades after. Sprigs of this symbolic bush that had travelled so far were then worn upon the breast on Anzac and Armistice days for Canadians. After the repatriation hospital at Dawle Park, South Australia was established, later during World War II, cuttings from the Keswick rosemary were taken and it was grown tall into a hedge on the Dawle Park Hospital's own grounds. From this hedge, cuttings have sprung into full lively bushes at Cenotaphs and at RSLs throughout Australia, named Gallipoli Rosemary by the gardener who preserved cuttings of the Dawle Park Repatriation Hospital's rosemary at his personal nursery, distributed by the Avenues of Honour project. When you stand by the cenotaph on Anzac Day, you might be humbled with the knowledge of how far the plant has travelled to be there. And each year we come together, not only to pay respects to the sacrifices of fellow Australians, those with us and those who've departed, but to remember why they were necessary. Like the poppy of Flanders Fields symbolises Remembrance Day, for similar reasons to why the rosemary of Gallipoli is important to our Anzacs, we remember that our history and those who have sacrificed so that we may remember it at all are honoured in gestures great and small.